Hey guys, welcome to my video. Today I'm going to do something a little differently. I have a special guest, Rusty. He is our 13-year-old tiny dog, nearly blind and nearly deaf. And I'm going to tie what I've learned from Rusty, observing him going blind and like losing his vision and growing older, to the process of spiritual awakening. All right, so you guys may be wondering, what does my 13-year-old nearly deaf and blind dog Rusty have to do with spiritual awakening? I'll share with you how the inspiration for this video happened. So he has to he's just funny for me to talk about. He can't go out the doggy door. He's just not quite sure. It's a little high for him and he's not quite strong enough. So I have to, he goes by the door and asks to go out. Just all he does is stand by the door. He won't even bark or make any noise. Okay. And sometimes he won't even go to the door to ask to go out, and you just kind of have to like remind him, hey, maybe you should go out now. And one of the things you can do to remind him is you can just gently with your foot kind of guide him on his back end and like kind of give him a little nudge, and it like kickstarts him and he just like runs outside, you know. But today what happened was he was just standing there like in the middle of the kitchen, and I was like, maybe he should go out. So I started to bring my foot up to like nudge him, and I was getting close to him, and then all of a sudden he just took off. Like went right outside, and I was like, whoa, I didn't even touch him, and he couldn't see that my foot was coming up behind him. He definitely couldn't hear me. And I was like, geez, that's amazing. Like he could just kind of feel that I was trying to insinuate that he should start moving. And it got me thinking, like, he may be going deaf and blind, and those sense perceptions may be diminishing almost completely, but he is exploding in his other ways of sense perception, and his feeling, and his like this he just has like this energetic feel. It's like really phenomenal to witness just in this little animal how adaptive he is to life and his circumstances, like and just how this mirrors the spiritual process. And I want to give an example of how this happened in my own awakening. So right when I had my Kundalini awakening, I couldn't read, guys, my logical mind was just obliterated. I couldn't think straight. Logical sequencing was impossible. I couldn't concentrate like enough to even read or absorb what I was reading. Writing was impossible, and this was really trippy and super terrifying for me because I've always been this very intellectually oriented person. So initially in my awakening, it was like a major part of who I was completely stripped away. And this is what's known as like the rewiring process of an awakening, is your brain has to temporarily like shut down so that the Kundalini can start going to work on your brain and start really rewiring it. And so during this period, I was in sales, and I had to like talk to people, and I had to like help them pick out certain furniture that would fit together in a certain room with different colors and all the different pricing and sizes and measurements. There was so much logical work that needed to be done. So for me, it was like this time of incredible adaptation. I no longer had access to like logical thinking, my reasoning, intellect. It was just kind of like, it was like literally just turned off. And I couldn't think ahead anymore. I used to always in sales be like 3 or 4 steps ahead of the customer, you know, anticipating what they were going to say, and I'd like have the perfect response. That's kind of like sales training 101. But in this scenario, what I was going through is like that was not an option anymore. I had to be so present with the customers and with the moment. I had to rely completely on guidance, and the answer just coming to me, and like this flow of intuition coming through me to provide solutions on a moment to moment basis. And it was super hard at first, and it was really scary. And I just remember being in conversations with customers and not ever knowing what the heck I was going to say next. And that was really uncomfortable because I always used to, in talking with customers, I always used to really know exactly what I was going to say to anything, any possibility, right? I was like this super sales trained person. But in this scenario, after my awakening, and all the other shit that was coming up and going on with me, I like never knew what I was going to say, but always something like this beautiful, spontaneous intelligence would always arise right when it was needed. And I found that the more I trusted this, the less worried I had to be, and that it was always there. And like, I found like it really surprised me because I thought I was going to be so much less efficient, and I thought there was no way I could do this. But I actually started becoming more efficient, and my sales numbers started going up, and like my closing ratio, which means just how many sales do you convert to how many people you talk to, was higher than it had ever been. And at first this really like perplexed me because I wasn't able to use any of the sales training that I had learned throughout my life. And I wasn't able to really stay one step ahead of the customer. And I started intuiting that, oh, maybe the reason that I'm becoming more efficient at this and I'm being able to offer more value and service to my customers is because I'm present and I'm fully hearing them. And this is less about the furniture that they're looking for and all of those mundane details. This is more about a connection between me and another person or a family even. And that through hearing them fully, the solutions to their furniture problems just like spontaneously would arrive through us connecting. And to really tie this all together and how it relates to my little dog Rusty and what he's going through, when you watch him and observe him, you can sense that he doesn't feel any diminishment of quality of life. He may not be able to see, he may not be able to hear, but he still has the same alive spirit. He's still feisty as ever, just giving the cats hell all the time, loves going outside. He's so happy to just cuddle and hang out, and you can tell he's feeling no worse for the wear, and that through losing his vision and his hearing, that other parts of him have maybe just woken up a little bit more, and that there is still so much life in him and so much aliveness and happiness, and he's still just, cruising right along. And that's the spiritual awakening initially. It feels like it makes our life so much worse because what was once so cherished and important to us, my own example, my intellect, my reasoning ability, my logical thinking, my math abilities, all of that, it was taken from me. Just like Rusty's vision and hearing had been taken from him. But because they were taken from me, I had to go within and I had to learn and adapt to a new way of living. I had to cultivate a more heart-centered and present approach with communicating with others. I had to learn to let go of my addiction to constantly thinking and figuring things out, and always needing to read and always needing to be, this intellectual person. I had to really evolve on a different level. And because I willingly did that, no, because I was forced to do this, I discovered so many more new gifts about myself. I realized, oh my gosh, I can actually listen to somebody. I can actually make somebody feel heard, and I can actually be present with somebody without thinking about the next thing I'm going to say. And that was a revelation for me. I had never, ever known that about myself. Just like Rusty is discovering, he actually has so much of this extrasensory perception that he can just kind of feel his way through life. He can't see or hear anything, but he never runs into anything. He never causes a disturbance. He just kind of is still flowing through life because intuitively, instinctively, he's just adapting. And that's what life is, that's what evolution is, and that's what a spiritual awakening will do for you. Is it will force you to adapt to things and circumstances like you never have before. And it might be the intellect thing where your mind just goes completely off. It might be something else for you. But the beauty of this process is when you can truly just embrace it, even though it's scary and it really sucks at first. I know how much it sucks at first and you just want it back. I wanted my intellect back so bad for so long, but then I finally just let it go and I said, all right, I guess this isn't happening, so let's just go with what I do have and let's cultivate deeper this new path. And, you know, my intellect has come back in a major way. And I feel like I think more clearly about things now. And I'm less in my head about negativity and thoughts. So in that way, my intellect is less draining. I'll admit, I still don't love logical stuff. I don't mind sitting in front of a camera and just speaking and free flowing and writing and being creative. But logical things still are not my thing. I don't know if really they ever will be. It's something I can do though. I can do it again if I have to, right? So it does come back. That's the other point. All of this does come back to you, but it's in a different way with a renewed perspective, and it's not in a way that you need it. Whatever the spiritual awakening takes from you, it takes because you don't need it. And when it returns it to you, you have a newfound relationship with it, a healthier one that is built around trust and surrender. So that's the video today. A little unorthodox. I thought I'd try this out to see if I could make this metaphor work. I hope this video provided you all some value and something that you can take away for your own process. So thank you all so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Namaste. All right, Rusty, say bye. I'm gonna put Rusty back down because he's an old guy and he needs to get his rest.